Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of the F1 1999 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Chinese Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live from Malaysia just before the weekend, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Safe to say, things are going pretty well for us so far this season. By virtue of 2 podiums, we are now top of both championships. 33 points to our name there, the only driver to have scored big points in both of the opening Grand Prix. David Coulthard currently P2 ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella, my teammate. Then we are 6 points ahead of McLaren as well in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari and McLaren each with a win apiece. However, for Ferrari, it's the only points they've scored so far this season as well. So Jordan, we're really just steering into the same ideology that they did in real life back in 1999. Good, clean, consistent finishing is going to be the goal over the course of this season. Of course, if you're new around here as well and you are enjoying this series, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, as we return to Shanghai this weekend, hopefully we can try and get another good result. Well, here we go then, qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. This one, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous for. Practice pace hasn't been fantastic, and I feel like I haven't built the normal level consistency that I always hope to in this car. But yeah, Shanghai is a very, very slippery track on the F1 game, so I think this one, a bit like last season, is probably going to be a lot more about survival than anything else.
The transmission is significantly damaged. We're down a gear.
Well, it looks like we're going to be taking a grid penalty then, ready for the Grand Prix. How on earth that's happened in free practice? And we're only on round 3 of the season. Last year it happened here in round 4, because I was conscious that I was going to have to change that over, ready for next time out. But yeah, so far this lap though, we're keeping up with the front runners. However, I'm worried that we're going to lose all possible speed down the back straight, or out of there, as Rubens Barrichello and his Stewart now goes to the front of the field. Looks like both Stewart and Jordan are here to fight. Let's see what we can do then. Oh, as we just try and make our way out of the snail section. So difficult to try and get on the throttle. And of course, obviously, we're going to have to really, really stretch out 4th gear there. And we're going to just watch those front runners bolt away from me as we make our way down the back straight. Luckily, 5th gear is still quite short in this car. But yeah, losing a fair old chunk of time there as late on the brakes into the hairpin. You only got a brake at the 100-meter board, which seems absolutely mental, but try and put the power down. Whoa, through the final couple of corners, getting a little bit loose and lively there. And it's gone away anyway. Lovely.
Let me know you're okay.
Well, 4 cars there covered by less than a 1/10 of a second. Jordan and Stewart. Yep, we are here to fight this weekend. But my first proper mistake of the year there, and it has not exactly come at an ideal time. We're going to line up on the back of the grid ready for this one. We have got the penalty anyway, so I think looking at the times, we would have probably ended up with the penalty about P14, P15. But yeah, we've got our work cut out in what is meant to be a wet Grand Prix. Quickly though, before we get into this video, I want to thank all of the names you see on your screen. Without their continued support of the channel, none of the work we do here would be possible. And if you want to get your name featured on this list, you can click the join button or click the Patreon link down in my description below and support the channel from just £1 a month. You will also get access to weekly updates about everything going on behind the scenes, and also occasionally some early previews on videos. So yeah, a massive thank you to my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters, and let's get back to the video.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. The ever-tightening turns 1 and 2 will prove tricky in the slippery conditions here at Shanghai, and anyone that slides wide will lose a lot of time getting back on track. Turn 14 should still be the best place for overtaking, but we'll have to see some improvement in the weather before the drivers can take advantage of that DRS assistance. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Well, it looks like the rain is meant to stay throughout the entirety of this Grand Prix, so I think we're going to see a lot of people no stopping this one, and yeah, hopefully that should be possible as well. However, I'm tempted to not go aggressive on the fuel and actually try and save a lot of it as we go through the GP. So we're actually going to start out quite light on fuel and then really try and save fuel as the afternoon goes on. However, I've kind of realised it's probably not a good idea to go under on fuel because that seems like a recipe for disaster. But intermediates on then, waiting on those 5 red lights here for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a mighty long hold, but it is lights out and away we go then. And I tell you what, we have not done many wet races with this mod, so this is certainly going to be an interesting one. So we'll wait and see how everyone gets on in towards that first corner immediately. I'm noticing a big wash of understeer there. As we'll try and get around the outside of a couple of cars. I guess it gives us a bit of a look at some of the cars we haven't really seen much of so far this year in terms of livery design. That arrows, I must admit that thing does look really, really cool. But I'm happy I'm not there anymore, to be completely honest as well. It was a fantastic starter car, but yeah, really don't want to spend my entire season there. As whoa, Jos Verstappen clearly didn't fancy giving me any room off the exit of the hairpin. So any chance I had up of making some places has immediately gone away. But yeah, this is going to be one of those races where we really do spend the first few laps just trying to get into a rhythm. I'm going to laugh though. We had 60 DNFs on lap 1 in both Malaysia and Australia. If everyone now suddenly can make it through lap 1 here in the rain, then yeah, I'm going to be very, very shocked. I'm expecting potentially to see some carnage down at the hairpin, but you can see drivers are already fanning out. There's a couple of them starting to go too wide. But yeah, you've got to be really, really gentle on the brakes, it feels like, in these conditions, as Nick Heidfeld, BAR, certainly struggling more than I think they thought they would on their F1 debut. As we try and put the power down then out onto that back straight. Yeah, clearly there is a lot of potential to save some fuel around this venue as well. So we can see cars going defensive on each other down in towards the hairpin. Ricardo Rossi, Jos Verstappen. But everyone, surprisingly, is going to make it through lap 1, which I did not think I was going to say here. David Coulthard currently second in the championship, leading the way. As we again run a little bit wide through that final corner. We are really going to take time early on here just to learn the car and learn the track. We'll have a look down the inside of Villeneuve. No, we won't. He clearly had never had any intention there of giving me any room, and that is still the thing you got to think about with this mod. You know, normally if you have a wheel-to-wheel moment with the AI, you might lose some front wing, but normally it's all right. Obviously with this, it really does, you know, you can't afford to risk anything. These cars are so delicate, and the damage model, yeah, is so unforgiving that even a small bit of contact like that could be the wheel gone. Let's try to put the power down out onto the back straight. I mean, we should have some top-end speed over a lot of these guys as well, which should make our life a little bit easier as we'll get the car up into rich revs. Surprisingly not, actually. That arrow's looking very, very good in a straight line. So we'll again trying to look around the outside through the final corner. We just cannot do anything here. We've got yellows out. Someone's ran into problems here. Have we? Yeah, there's definitely some yellows. I think someone's either broken down or gone for a little bit of a spin. Who is that? Pedro de la Rosa seems to be out of the Grand Prix. And George Russell, what on earth's happened? Oh no, it's been a Merc pile-up. We'll try to piece this all together then. Looks like one of the stewards has gone into the back of Hakkinen and just everyone else has gone in. So once again, we've got another pile-up in this series as no one can get the car stopped in the tricky conditions. And how many cars have piled into this one? Seemingly just about everyone that isn't myself or David Coulthard. That has been, well, a pure F1 1999 career mode crash. Right, well now this is where things get interesting for us, because we've got to try and make our way through all of the carnage. And we are down to just 7 runners in this Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher has already opted to move on to a set of the wet tyres, so I don't know whether that's the way to go. 5 cars are running in this Grand Prix. We've had a 15-car pile-up. That puts Belgium 1999 to shame here, as we're going to bolt on a set of the full wets to just see how we get on with them. No one is left in this Grand Prix now, almost immediately. So I think we might be in for a very, very quiet rest of the afternoon. Heading back out of the pit lane, though, it looks like both of the Minardis are still running here. So Marc Genet, Jos Verstappen have got a huge opportunity.
We want to finish the race on this compound.
Christmas has come early for the Minardi team this weekend. And now it is 1 Ferrari, 1 McLaren and 1 Jordan, as well as them still running. I'm also very happy to announce, yeah, the wet tyres are terrible. We will absolutely be moving back to Inters then in the pit lane, and we are going to re-emerge in last place in this race, which is only P5. I've only just realised as well, we never got a safety car in that incident, I don't think. We've been running under green flag conditions since, well, I pit twice under a green flag. I just assumed, because so many people have retired from the Grand Prix, that we saw a safety car here, and maybe have gone and thrown away this race even more for ourselves. Marc Genet, 51 seconds up the road. I'm going to be going like 3 seconds a lap faster than him if I want to try and get our 3rd podium of the year here. Jos Verstappen, we should still be able to beat. We're taking plenty of time out of him, but you'd think with 15 cars out of a Grand Prix there'd at least be a safety car, but apparently not. And I know what you're thinking. Matt, did you forget to re-enable the safety car after it was turned off for Malaysia last time out? Yes I did. Oh no. This is, I think, going to be quite a short video today. This is going to be one of the, least action-packed races in this series we'll ever have. Michael Schumacher's just shown up on the relative. I don't know what's happened to Marc Genet's disappeared. Has Genet got the jump on Schumacher here? Is Michael Schumacher struggling that badly on his full wets, but seemingly refuses to pit away from them? Yeah, Michael Schumacher is currently losing hand over fist here. We've taken somehow 15-20 seconds out of him in the space of 4 corners. I can only assume he's crawling around on a set of full wets. This is a modern Ferrari strategy, not one you'd expect out of them in the late 90s, the early 2000s. Well, as we start lap 10 then, yeah, things just aren't really making sense, to be honest. However, the gap between myself and Genet, this could actually, at the rate it's going at the moment, come down to the wire. Doing the maths in my head, I think we'll catch him with like 3 laps to go, unless he decides to pit, or Jos Verstappen decides to get the elbows out again. But yeah, at the moment, we are going just under 3 seconds a lap quicker than Genet, and we've got 18 laps to try and take 40 seconds out of him. Coulthard, though, he's going to lap me today. He's still running close to 2 seconds a lap faster. So yeah, I think Coulthard's going to lap me, but whether that'll affect us getting to Genet, I don't know. I also think Michael Schumacher might be slowing Marc Genet down, so Coulthard might lap everyone. It's closing in then on Jos Verstappen. Can we squeeze all the way around the outside? We'll have the inside for the next corner. Yes, we can, and we've actually now made a legitimate overtake today. I'll sit rep then on Michael Schumacher. We are taking time out of him, but it is nowhere near as much as we are out of Marc Genet. So I think my only hope with the German is that his tyres completely burn out, because they're certainly not the right compound for these conditions. But yeah, Michael Schumacher, known as the Rainmeister, he is making it work. Oh, Marc Genet's in the pits. Well, that kind of ruins any battle we would have had in this Grand Prix then, apparently. Marc Genet moving over onto another set of the intermediate tyres. So that lap we did go 2 seconds clear of Michael Schumacher. We now have also got eyes on David Coulthard at the front of the field. But yeah, Marc Genet and Minardi clearly have no interest in battling with me this afternoon. And that's a shame. Michael Schumacher's in. This is the big one for us. Is he going to go to another set of wets? Or is he going to go to intermediates? If he goes to wets again, we have a chance. If he goes to intermediates, we may as well, I think, cut to the end of the Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher, I think he's staying out on the full wets, so that's going to bring us much closer to him, which is fantastic news for us. So maybe, just maybe, actually, we can match our result from Malaysia and get another P2 result here. It has just been myself and DC that have been the consistent ones, as yep, there we go, Michael, back out on another full set of the wets. That gap now is down to less than 20 seconds, 15 seconds with 12 laps to go. Well, the pace to Michael Schumacher really has been ebbing and flowing over these last few laps, but that last lap we took 2 seconds out of the German. We've been really, really inconsistent over the course of the stint. But yeah, Schumacher, I think his tyres now just starting to fall off again. The full wet tyres, absolutely not the ones to be on. No idea why the German or Ferrari have decided to stick with them. But yeah, it's either going to be P2 or P3 unless I do something cataclysmically stupid towards the end. I would just love the extra 3 points. Oh, Schumacher's in! Michael Schumacher, late on in the day then, for whatever reason, has decided to head back to the pit lane. Maybe Ferrari finally realising, hang on a minute, yeah, the full wets aren't working here. We'll see if he boxes over to a set of the intermediates, but every time it looks like we could get a good battle this afternoon, the game goes and ruins it. Schumacher's pit again. What on earth are Ferrari doing late on in the day? Do they not have any intermediate tyres? I think you already get 2 full sets of wets, don't you? So he's just pitting between his wet tyres over and over, and might be about to hand Marc Genet a podium. This is a modern Ferrari strategy at its absolute finest. Yep, Michael Schumacher, he's into the pit lane again here. He might end up finishing last in a 5-car race in a Ferrari that, at the very worst, should have been P2. At the very best, could have won this thing. But ultimately, I think for us, that double pit stop early on has ended up making no difference. We've been destined for P2 pretty much ever since. Now, obviously, we know that Michael Schumacher, apparently today, is trying to do the most pit stops ever in a Grand Prix. We've just got 2 laps to try and bring the car home, and the tyres are absolutely starting to fall away. Jos Verstappen as well is pretty much slowed to a crawl here, so we're going to try and make sure we get around him. As we're going to now lap Jos, who we overtook not that long ago. I reckon Coulthard might have a puncture in this Grand Prix, as that is not the line through there. So if he can limp back round to the pit lane, he should be alright. But David Coulthard, late drama here, as Genet now is falling off the pace as well. Has everyone else suddenly picked up a puncture towards the end of this race? And is there suddenly an opportunity for us to win this? It'll depend whether Coulthard makes it back to the pit lane or not. This has got to be the dumbest race we've ever had, as I've taken 10 seconds out of DC, 15 seconds out of him down the back straight alone. Coulthard, though, it doesn't appear that he's pit. Schumacher's in the pits again, for whatever reason late on in the day. And now with 1 lap to go of the Chinese Grand Prix, the gap to David Coulthard is down to 30 seconds. This is the weirdest race I will ever have. We've had 5 cars running for most of the afternoon, and it seems like everyone that isn't a Jordan suddenly is picking up problems towards the end of this thing. Are we somehow going to snooker away a victory here late on in the day? I mean, if you're David Coulthard and McLaren, why wouldn't you have pit on that last lap? This race is making exactly 0 sense to me late on in the day, but I'm happy we never ended up going a lap down to DC, because we never would have had a chance to try and fight back towards the end of this thing, surely, as that gap is still continuing to come down on the final lap of this Grand Prix. We're not going to have the upset, not only of the season, but surely of the century here. So we make our way around the final few corners of Sector 2. That gap to Coulthard's down to 9 seconds. It is still coming down. Is he stuck behind Michael Schumacher? Is Michael Schumacher stuck behind him? No, he's not. There is David Coulthard here. What on earth is this? Late on in the day. And let's try and see if we can work out what's happened to the McLaren driver as we make our way out towards the back straight. We've still got to try and get to him before the end of this lap there. As yeah, that's not going to be any kind of concern, is it? What's happened to DC? I think he's run out of fuel. I reckon the AI ran out of fuel here late on in the day, and suddenly, with 3 corners to go of the Chinese Grand Prix, we went from a minute and a half back to we are going to win the Chinese Grand Prix here out of nowhere. The biggest upset you will ever see. P3 in Australia, P2 in Malaysia, but from the back of the grid, it is going to be P1 here in Shanghai. I will never see anything like that ever again.
There'll be many smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take the win here in Shanghai. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Here come today's winning drivers, and what a race it was. This is a team that knows success very well in F1, and they're just itching for even more. Congratulations to the Renault team for their excellent win today.
Well, I was going to be really upset at the end of that race that we were going to lose the championship lead to David Coulthard, but we will never, ever have another Formula 1 Grand Prix like that. 5 drivers made it to the finish. Only 4 of them were on the lead lap in the end. Michael Schumacher, a 7-stop strategy. I would go as far to describe that as not ideal. But the fact he still finished on the lead lap despite those 7 stops goes to show you just how ridiculous this race ended up being there. Minardi, they've taken home 25 points from this Grand Prix, so equaling ourselves down at Jordan there. Marc Genet getting his first ever Formula 1 podium as well. And you can see, yep, after that, no one else scoring any points. Carnage on just lap 2. I was staggered that everyone made it through the hairpin on lap 1, but clearly it wasn't meant to be for anyone else here. That means in terms of the Drivers' Championship, we now have a 12-point lead over David Coulthard there. Schumacher will jump Giancarlo Fisichella simply by finishing at the end of that one, and Marc Genet and Jos Verstappen up to 6th and 7th in the Drivers' Championship as well there. I'm sure they will drop down the order by the end of the year, but it is fantastic to see early on as Ralf Schumacher, Damon Hill, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, none of them inside the top 15 either there, as I don't think Ralf has still finished a Grand Prix this season. McLaren jump Ferrari, as we still have a 13-point lead at the top. Minardi as well are ahead of Stewart, as BAR still in P6 ahead of Benetton and Sauber there, and Williams. 2 seasons ago, they were champions. Now, they have failed to score a point in the opening 3 Grand Prix. Thank you all so much for watching, though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we will return to hopefully a little bit of normality. As next time out, I believe we are back in Europe. Maybe we're at Imola? Maybe we're somewhere else. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it's going to be good fun either way. I think it might be Spain.